Project managers need to work with people. They need to get people to do things. They need to find out their opinions. And let's face it, we need to work in a political environment. And that means, sadly, sometimes people will lie to you. So in this video, we're going to look at 6 ways to detect deception and spot a liar. There's no sure way to tell if someone is lying to you, but there are plenty of myths that suggest there are. However, this doesn't mean that there aren't some tells which can give you an indication. And when you put them together, you can get some sort of a sense of when someone is lying to you. This isn't about making you a highly skilled FBI investigator, and some people are highly trained in this. I'll put some links below to a couple of my favourite books about it. But what we will do is look at some of the myths and the reality about detecting deception. Let's start with eyes. There is a common myth that a liar will not look you in the eye. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's such a common myth that the liars know it, and they will take great pains to look you in the eye. So arguably, if someone holds your gaze too much, it can be an indication that they are telling porky pies. The truth is, there is no reliable correlation, but if you ask someone a simple factual question to which they should know the answer, a truther will often pause and glance away for a moment before giving you an answer, whereas a liar is more likely to hold your gaze and then give you the answer. If they do that, what they're doing is they are concentrating so that they can take some time to concoct a story and justify the answer. Another difference is that fear tends to be a bigger factor for liars than it is for truthers, and this physiological response to fear includes wider eyes and dilation of the pupils. The black bits in the centre of our eyes get bigger. But even that's not a reliable indicator, because dilation of the pupils can also indicate simple things like attraction or even low light levels. Liars do, however, want to limit the lies they tell. So the second tip is to recognise that liars will often qualify the things they say far more than truthers. They'll use words like sort of or I think to kind of cover themselves, so that later they can say, well, I wasn't lying, I just didn't have all of the information. And while we're at it, liars tend to speak in a slightly more formal way. They are more careful about what they say, so they will use fewer contractions, saying cannot instead of can't, or I would have instead of I'd have. Now, again, it's important that you have a baseline to compare against. Some people naturally speak in a more formal way, and some people speak in a more casual way. But if you know someone and you spot changes in their speech patterns, that's indicative of something going on. The formality of speech patterns comes because liars tend to be uncomfortable with what they're saying and want to be as controlled as they possibly can about what they choose to say. This over-precision can manifest in them giving greater levels of detail to small parts of their story than you would naturally accept, whilst leaving gaping holes in other parts. Truthers will tend to embellish their story where it's most relevant, whereas liars will tend to avoid the most relevant bit because that's what they tend to be lying about. When we're nervous, we fidget. You'd expect liars to be nervous and therefore to fidget more. But of course, liars would expect themselves to be nervous and fidget more too. As soon as they become aware of fidgeting, what they tend to do is to clamp up. You'll see with liars that they quite often hold their hands still and they adopt somewhat more rigid poses. That linguistic formality translates into postural formality too. Often you'll see them gripping their hands or holding onto objects so that they can consciously control the urge to fidget. Anxiety has other physiological effects too. it tends to make our heart beat faster, for us to breathe more quickly, and for some of our muscles to contract. All of this has a powerful impact on the voice. The breathiness that we get and the contraction of the muscles in the larynx tend to force our voice into a higher register. So if you notice someone speaking with a slightly higher tone of voice than usual, that again can be another one of your cluster of indicators. On its own, there's loads of reasons why their voice might be raised. But with the other cluster, with other elements of the cluster, it could indicate a liar. Here's another old chestnut that everyone knows. Liars will cover their mouth to stop the truth getting out. Again, I suspect liars know that one too. So instead, look at their face as a whole. Any unusual asymmetry in their facial expression or in their gestures suggests that they may be conflicted, and two parts of their psychology are at war with one another, the part that wants to tell the truth and the part that feels compelled to lie. And of course, any unnatural stillness or over control of posture, gesture or expression is also an indicator that there is something going on. I'll put links to a couple of excellent books in the description below. The psychology of lying is deep and complex, and studying it can take years and you need to practice properly. But these few simple tips will give you an indication. Don't become the company lie detector. That's not your job. But if you are aware of multiple signals suggesting a lie, you should at least consider acting with caution before you believe what you're hearing. Please do give a thumbs up if you like this video. I'll be creating loads more content for project managers, so subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of them. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.